Going to see the first chapter in Civics, which is Modern Democracy. We have already seen about forms of government. Under this, we have monarchy, dictatorship, and democracy. First, we are going to learn about monarchy. What is meant by monarchy? Ruled by a single person, a king or queen, who is the permanent head of state. The term is now used to refer to countries with hereditary rulers. This means that rule is passed down from parent to child. Hereditary monarchy is a form of government and succession of power in which the throne passes from one member of a ruling family to another member of the same family. A series of rulers from the same family would constitute a dynasty. Here, constitute means form a dynasty. Next, we are going to learn about dictatorship. So, what is meant by dictatorship? A government in which a single leader or party exercises absolute control over all citizens and every aspect of their lives. In most cases, this absolute power is exercised in a cruel way. In other words, a dictatorship is a form of government where one person or political party has the power to do whatever they want. The ruler is called a dictator. A leader takes control over the government and has total power. For example, Nazi Germany under Hitler. Next, we are going to learn about democracy. The word democracy literally means rule by the people. In other words, supreme power is given to the people and exercised by them directly or indirectly through a system of representation. So, democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. According to Abraham Lincoln, democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Synopsis of the lesson. In this session, we are going to see the following topics. The first one is historic perspective. The second one is modern democracy, elected representative, rule of law, social democracy, and economic democracy. Now, look at this picture. Here, democracy is classified into two. The first one is representative and the other one is direct. Representative is further subdivided into presidential and parliamentary. Next, we are going to learn about introduction to the topic. Presidential and parliamentary form of government are two different systems of government which are available in all countries of the world. These two systems are for good governance and these two are efficient in their tasks. For example, presidential form of government is prevalent in countries like USA, France, Argentina, etc. and parliamentary form of government is prevalent in countries like India, UK, etc. To perform various functions, Government of India have three branches. Each have its own specific function and administration composed of executive branch, legislative branch and judiciary branch. Government of India, central or union government, is classified into three. The first one is executive, the second one is legislature or parliament, and the third one is judiciary. Executive consists of president, vice president, cabinet ministers. What are the major responsibility of the executive branch is to pass the laws made by the legislature. The second one is legislature or parliament. Legislature consists of Lok Sabha, which is your lower house, plus Raj Sabha, which is your upper house at central level. Then Prime Minister, PM. So the major responsibility of legislature branch is to make laws. Judiciary consists of Supreme Court of India. So the major responsibility of judiciary branch is to solve conflicts between executive and legislature. The second one is other public related matters or conflicts. Now let's see about definition of presidential form of government. When a country follows the presidential form of government, it denotes that there is only one person as the head of the state and government, that is the president. The election of the president is made directly by the citizens of the country or sometimes by the members of the electoral college for a fixed period. So, a presidential system is a system of government where a head of government is also head of state and leads an executive branch that is separate from the legislative branch. The United States, for example, has a presidential system. In presidential democracy, the voters elect the members of the executive branch separately from the legislative branch. Examples are United States, Argentina, France, and Kenya. Next, we are going to learn about definition of parliamentary form of government. Parliamentary form of government represents a system of democratic governance of a country wherein the executive branch is derived from the legislative body, that is the parliament. Here, the executive is divided into two parts: the head of the state, that is president, who is only the nominal executive, and the head of the government, that is prime minister, who is the real executive. So, a parliamentary system of government as prevalent in UK is a system of democratic governance of a state where the executive branch gets its democratic legitimacy from the legislature, which means parliament, and is also held accountable to that legislature. In a parliamentary system, the head of state is normally a different person from the head of government. In parliamentary democracy, the voters elect the members of parliament who then choose the prime minister, who is head of the executive branch. Examples are United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, and India. Now, let's see about presidential and parliamentary governments. The presidential relationship: voters elect the legislature and the chief executive, who is part of the executive branch. The legislature and executive are independent and co-equal. Then we have the parliamentary relationship. Here, voters elect the legislature. The chief executive is drawn from the legislature. Now let's see about parliamentary versus presidential democracy. So in parliamentary democracy, citizens will elect legislative, then legislative will select executive, whereas in presidential democracy, citizens will elect both the executive and legislative. Now, let's see about how the presidential form of democracy differs from parliamentary form of democracy. So, in this table, we have scope, presidential form of democracy and parliamentary form of democracy. The first scope is that election of president. In presidential form of democracy, it is directly by the people, whereas in parliamentary form of democracy, it is directly by the parliament, state legislative assemblies and legislative councils. The second scope is that powers of president. All powers vested in president. Here, vested means entrusted in president, can even veto the enactments of the government. Here, veto means a constitutional right to reject a decision. Enactment means the process of passing legislation, whereas in parliamentary form of democracy, limited powers is the national head of the nation. So here no veto powers. Third one, responsibility of the government. In presidential form of democracy, not responsible to the legislature, whereas in parliamentary form of democracy, responsible to the legislature. Fourth one, ministers. In presidential form of democracy, ministers are not members of the parliament, whereas in parliamentary form of democracy, ministers are members of the parliament. Fifth point, head of the cabinet. In presidential form of democracy, the president appoints secretaries who head the various departments of the government, whereas in parliamentary form of democracy, the Prime Minister is the head of the cabinet. And the sixth scope is that functioning of cabinet. In presidential form of democracy, the cabinet is only administrative in nature, whereas in parliamentary form of democracy, the cabinet enacts and executes the laws. Now, we are going to learn about historic perspective. So what is mean by perspective? Perspective means viewpoint or outlook. The term democracy originates from the Greek words demos meaning people and kratos meaning power. So democracy means the government by the people. Prior to democracy, here prior means previous or earlier. Most of the countries of the world were ruled by the kings and all the powers were vested. Vested means assigned or entrusted in them, and the system was called monarchy. There, the ruler was appointed on hereditary basis and was not answerable to the people for his policies. The concept of democracy can be traced. Traced means find or discover to ancient Greece, where people used to get together at one place to exercise their power directly in deciding matters of state. It was called a direct democracy. This type of democracy was possible in those days as the states used to be very small, but with the gradual means slow increase of the size and population of the political units, it became impossible to arrange for large number of people to assemble at one place to discuss matters concerning them. It was at this time that the concept of representative democracy came into being and the system of voting started. People started to elect the representatives through the system of ballot, that is, voting system. Here we can see the picture of ballot box. We shall now study why it is popular in most parts of the world, and later in the next chapter deliberate and understand the procedures of forming a government in a democracy, as this is what we follow in our country. Next, we are going to learn about modern democracy. Democracy is one system of the government which has become the most popular all over the world, and revolutions took place all over the world to establish this system. In democracy, the sovereign, here the sovereign means a supreme ruler, power rests with people, irrespective means regardless or not taking something into account of differences of religion, color, caste, gender, etc. Here gender means either of the two sexes, like male and female. In a democracy, it commonly said ballot substitutes the bullet. Why a democracy is commonly called as ballot substitutes the bullet? Why? Because it is the system where people can change the ruling power by means of voting out a government. Here, substitutes means alternates or replacements. Normally, every person who is an adult citizen of a country has the right to vote. This is known as one man, one vote, and also called universal adult franchise. This form of government is called democracy. Do you know Bhutan, a small country in India's neighborhood, changed its governance format from an absolute monarchy to multi-party democracy in 2008. Now, let's see the main characteristics of democracy are as under. The first one is elected representative. In democracy, representatives means spokesperson elected by the people, make laws and frame policies of the government. All adult citizens have the right to participate, that is, vote in the elections. In India, the voting age has been fixed at 18 years of age. Free and fair elections are held at regular intervals. The people have the right to remove the government from power in the next elections if they are not satisfied with its performance. Next, we are going to learn about rule of law. So what is meant by law? Law refers to a system of rules and regulations. Another characteristic of democracy is that it ensures rule of law. Law is supreme and everyone is equal in the eyes of the law. No one is above the law. So now you would thus realize why the oppressed people in monarchies and dictatorships united to revolt and chose democracy. Democracy gives people the choice and freedom to choose the people who will govern them. It gives equal rights to the citizens, which helps in development of their personality. Many political leaders and visionaries felt that this is just political democracy or the political form of democracy. They have gone a step further and said that the actual fruit and benefit of democracy would only be achieved if people have equality in social status, is called social democracy, and equal opportunities to grow economically is called economic democracy. Thus, these two aspects also become essential. Essential means important part of democracy, as people should not be discriminated. Discriminated means differentiated against within their country. Next, we are going to learn about social democracy. Here, social means relating to society or its organization. It means that all men and women should be treated equally and should have equal opportunities for development. No one should be discriminated, which means differentiated on the basis of religion, caste, race, or place of birth. Society should be free from the social evils like caste system. So what is meant by caste system? It is a social structure that divides different groups into ranked categories, that is higher or lower caste, and untouchability, which means it is the practice of discriminating various individuals and groups based on their caste. Next, we are going to learn about economic democracy. It means that all members should enjoy the freedom from exploitation. Exploitation means make use of any kind in terms of economic aspects. Here economic means financial aspects. They should have equal opportunities to earn their livelihood. Equal wages. Here wages means pays or salaries should be given to both men and women, the landlords, which means owners, and the entrepreneurs, which means businessman or business person, should not exploit the workers. Do you know the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009 is an act to provide free and compulsory education to all children between the age of 6 to 14 years. It was enacted by the Parliament in the 60th year of the Republic of India. I have enclosed the classwork instructions in the PDF. Kindly refer it. So now we have reached the end of this session. Thank you.